You're listening to the Salty Sex Cast with Pamela and Mariah.
Yeah, and what's puberty?
The sex education you wish you had in high school.
Maybe a diagram will help.
Hello. Welcome back to the Salty Sex Cast.
Yes. Just your weekly dose of fun.
Sexy fun.
Sexy fun. Yeah, and education. Get it. We're just going to tell you more. It's episode 68. So we are right around the corner from some great oral sex. Just want everyone to get excited about that. And also, Brady did something wonderful for me.
What did I do? Oh, yeah.
So I'm always whining about my mic. It gets in the way. Our camera is all over the, like just the angle. Anyway, he hooked the mic to the arm of my office chair so I can sit here and rock and not have to move the mic. Like, that's pretty awesome. I don't know any other fucking podcast that does that. So,
Don't
there
you
you
hook
go.
yours up that way too,
Brady's
Pamela?
the best. Yes, you do.
Okay. It'll be done
Obviously.
tonight.
We can be like
Okay.
the little rocking biddies or something. Talking to
We both need to learn how to knit while we
I can
record this
crochet,
podcast. We can,
kinda.
yeah, I can like knit booties or something.
little cock socks.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Cock socks.
Like a cock
like
warmer.
a booty for your penis.
I
A
want
cum
one.
catcher.
Do you want one?
Yeah, I want
When
one.
you jerk off, and then all you have to do is throw it in the wash. It's reusable.
No, that's what a wore out tube sock is for.
But this is cuter.
It'll be branded.
Yeah.
So you can think of us while you.
I was just thinking about all the bizarre designs you could knit into one of those. You could really get weird.
Oh, love it. Well, and it's warm.
Yeah, the weather turned really suddenly. I just want to, we all want to give a shout out to our patron, Carter.
He is our top patron.
He is. He has been donating quite a lot to us for quite a while. So we really, really appreciate you, friend.
Number one
Thank
with a
you.
bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really hear what you said,
Yeah, me
so I
either.
just agreed.
Number one with a bullet.
What does that mean?
Like a bullet point on a paragraph.
Okay.
It's a compliment.
Okay. I'll take your word
Yes.
for it.
I feel like sometimes you're on a different plane. I love you so much, Brady, but when we both just stare at you, this means please fill in the blank. We need more explanation on how did you get there? Lead us, guide us, walk beside us just for a moment.
Whoa. There's a song with it in there. And then, I mean, it's not my fault. I work around construction guys all week long. And then I come here and meet you two. And it's like bizarro land.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry.
Sorry they can't be as cool as we are.
Are we the bizarro land of which you speak?
I think you
Or is
have to
it-
be because it's rarely
Or is it
visited.
the trucker guys?
I think both are on the opposite end of the spectrum for sure.
Well, I would just like to point out how cute my pigtails are. And I feel like I have to because I came out sporting these this morning and no one said anything.
Mariah did the
minute
moment you
No,
walked
you
in.
did.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
No, I mean at home.
And I couldn't say anything because Mariah already said something. It would have been weird.
You can ride my coattails anytime, Brady.
Yeah, she beat me.
You could just be like, I agree.
I
I'll
do
say,
agree.
"Thank you."
They look amazing on you. Your hair always looks amazing.
Thank you.
Like, just to have that natural curl, like, you don't have to do, I mean, I have to do heat to my hair, I have to style it with heat every single time I wash it, or it's just this crazy, but I only wash it once a week. So,
Oh, yeah.
like, this is day 4, and I have not touched it with heat again.
Oh, that's nice.
So it stays.
Your hair actually like obeys. Amanda's hair, we did a photo shoot this morning that she was a part of. And so I got tasked with curling her hair. It took fucking forever. And I was like, see, this is why I was born with curly hair.
Yeah.
Because there's just no way I would ever do this for myself every goddamn day.
Yeah, like, that's why, I mean, you could just.
I'm lazy.
Like, and how many times I've been over to your house and you're like, oh, I just got out of the shower. And I was like, and you're just going to let your hair air dry. Like, what the hell? If I did that, it would look a little scary, like finger in the socket scary. Like, it's not pretty.
Really?
So I have to blow dry it and then do some type of heat on it, or it's.
Super frizzy?
I'm going to send you a picture. There's one that is fucking massive because I mean it's long and it just is so weird with body but not the right kind.
Jamie sent me a picture of you off of Facebook. And I was like, yeah, we would have dated in high school. Like, you were my type. Yeah, you were my type. Yeah. Loved alt girls in high school. Still do. And now you just look like a home teacher, I think, but without sleeves.
Like a soccer
What is
mom.
a home teacher?
Like the Mormon home
You mean
teachers?
visiting teacher?
Visiting teacher.
The home teachers are men.
Oh.
Or that's what it used to be.
Yeah.
Get with
that,
it, Brady.
that was really fucked
pig.
up. I'm sorry.
We're going to cancel you from our show.
Speaking of canceling me from your show,
Yes.
what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're talking about cancel culture. Or rather, I'm asking questions about cancel culture, and you guys are talking about it because I really don't know anything about it.
Yay!
And it's not because I'm like, I think I'm cool or anything that I don't know anything about pop culture. I just somehow like miss what everyone else is talking about at the moment.
Well, and
I'm always a step behind.
I think the only reason I'm as aware of it as I am is because I was doing stand-up as it kind of started gaining traction.
Yeah, and you can be a comedian that's like, done.
You're done.
You say one thing that doesn't
Yeah.
fall in or there's no room for adjustment. There's no room like, oh yeah, I did fuck up. Let me backtrack and say, so for what we're let's define cancel culture just for a second.
I want to know exactly how this started, why it became a trend.
Social media was a big proponent in cancel culture just because now we can cancel you off our social media. We can all unfollow you. You can even get like banned from social media platforms, that kind of thing. So it kind of gave like the guy off the street power. You said something I don't like, Pamela. Fuck you. Bye. You know, instead of like, why didn't I like that? Let's do something about it. So I'll go into a little bit more detail on that. But I have a great definition that from the Cambridge English Dictionary that says a way of behaving in a society or group, especially on social media, in which it is common to completely reject, stop supporting someone because they have said or done something that offends you. So it's just, I like that we are finally calling people out on inappropriate, you crossed the line, that's not cool. Let's call you out and bring attention to it and say, hey, that wasn't okay.
And I like that the common man has leverage now and can say, like voice their opinion somehow. And, hey, that's not okay.
But then we're getting to the point that we're just canceling everything we don't like. So there's no opposing view to stretch our awareness.
So are you saying the pendulum has swung too far the other direction?
Yeah, I think we're like, for me, just to pluck that out of my life and pretend it doesn't exist or just cut it off at the neck and just be like, nah, we're done. Instead of like, so for example, whatever Cartoon Network or whatever that owns Pepe Le Pew, who's that?
The skunk?
Yeah.
That was Looney Tunes.
Okay.
that was Looney
There's
Tunes,
someone
but I
that's
don't know.
listening that's like, you're an idiot. Anyway, so they canceled him. He's done. He
Yeah,
will
I
never return again.
I heard
he was
about
the
that.
skunk of rape?
So he was very aggressive in his attempt to.
That poor kitty. that
He
got
never
wet
asked for
white-
consent.
Not once.
Yes. So
So
he
then
never,
when it was clear that she wasn't interested, he did not stop pursuing her. So he wasn't just rapey, he was also stalkerish.
yeah. And then people went and were like, you canceled him. But there was one episode where she was like playing hard to get and she actually went after him. And I'm like, cool, that's great. That was, a different time. We are more aware of the like detrimental messages that come from that type of behavior. So instead of just canceling him, why not write in a new character that fucking calls him out or teaches him how to talk to women?
Is Pepe Le Pew still being like episodes are still being written, because I thought that they just replay the same old bullshit. So this is my issue with it, right? Is like these older shows that existed during a time when different things were socially acceptable that we no longer find socially acceptable. We have like, what else are we supposed to do? Like, there's really no lesson to learn.
Well, it's
outside of just saying we're not going to make this available for our children to learn life lessons from anymore. Like, that makes sense to me. Now, I'm not saying everything should be canceled, but Pepe Le Pew being canceled.
Yeah, if they're not making new episodes or something, but I'm like, how, you know.
Have you guys seen the warning before some of the Disney movies?
Yeah.
On Disney Plus?
Yeah. Especially racially charged. Anything that's like,
I think that's an appropriate response, what Disney has done.
Actually, you know what? They're getting rid of them altogether, or they're editing them. So
I think editing them is an appropriate response.
On Disney Plus, they will.
The children that are watching those shows, like Dumbo, they can't read that warning.
Yeah, but I don't think they also pick up on those cues, do they? Do you think?
Yes.
Yeah?
100%. That is where we get racists from.
And I mean, they can't, you know, and you can have that one exposure, but if they have so many other tools that are kind of like, this is why that's not right, I think that's healthier, because then they see what's out there and the negative consequences to having that message. And then here's the better thing, instead of just not having it at all, because
you're saying that you want children to be exposed to racist messaging.
I love
that's exactly what I heard. Yeah.
I think, you know, I don't filter what my kids see and hear, because I'd rather them know what's out there and say, okay, why do you feel like this might? And let me tell you, this is something that we're watching and I'm not okay with this. This is not okay. This is somebody, and it's actually a show that, you know, someone was being sexually aggressive or something. I'm like, and I'll actually pause the show.
How can you guarantee that other parents are doing that?
Parents are not doing that. So parents, if you're listening, fucking do that. But that's one thing, like, what were we watching the other day? The Warriors. I don't know if you remember that show. It's like from 1979. They're like,
that was the year I was born, so no.
Okay. Well, that's still movie. Like, you can, I watch it all the time, or not watch it all the time. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, tell me like the premise.
So they're just a bunch of gangs that are like around the city, and anyway, but they talk about like gang rape and stuff like that. And then like one of the guys is like really aggressive with a woman, but she's actually a cop, so he gets caught anyway. But I was like, this is so uncomfortable to watch. Like, oh my God. And they're all just, no one cares. And I'm like, I really hope that's not how things are like, but it's good to see that, because my experience, I'm not exposed to that all the time. Doesn't mean that's not what is happening. That, like, to be aware of it, you know, just because in our culture or our demographic or city or anything, you know, it's not happening, but most definitely it's still happening somewhere. So.
I think exposing kids to a lot of varying ideas is really important.
Yeah.
However, I think context is also really important. And so I think if you're showing them racism in a racist movie versus examples of racism, like historical racism, and kind of walking them through, hey, here's an example from our past where people were treated really unjustly because of the color of their skin, or, you know, the place that they came from or whatever. That to me is going to have a more long-term positive effect than if they watch Dumbo.
Very much so. And I think,
is there something racist in Dumbo?
Apparently, because
I haven't watched it in so long. I couldn't tell you, but I
remember the Siamese cats. In I don't know,
Aristocats.
I don't know if it was in Aristocats, but they were super Chinese cats.
Yeah,
like they were a stereotype.
There's a lot of stereotypes in all those movies.
I think that was in Lady and the Tramp.
I think it was Lady in the Tramp.
Oh, it is. Yeah, because the aunt, like the great aunt or something. But I was like, yeah, no, I remember this. Okay, no. Even though Aristocats, cats does have something. Anyway.
I'm Googling why is Dumbo
go down
racist.
There. I mean, the thing is, so many movies from the 20th century are incredibly racist. It's just that not many of them are iconic. So not many of them are we watching now over and over again and sharing with our children, right? So I think Disney gets called out because there's so many classics in their library.
Well, and this is even gender roles. And, you know, like this is where we need to really look at. And, you know, Pepe Le Pew, where it's non-consensual, like how many things can come off as like coercion in shows and things like that. And that's where I'm like, yes, we can completely just get rid of them or get rid of people, but I want this counter. Where's the thing in place to say, this is why it's not okay? And if you see this, this is what happened. This is what you can do. Instead of just say, no, you're canceled.
Well, I think
because if we don't have that power, we're not equipped with the tools to stand up for someone who's coercing.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
I just think it would be better to produce new content that does illustrate that exactly rather than keep the old content around that promotes that kind of behavior.
Yeah, no, I think we're saying the exact same thing. Yeah, so I'm like, why couldn't they have like an episode or like recreate Pepe Le Pew and he starts saying something to someone and then there's another character or even the girl calls him out?
Because that's not funny, Mariah.
It isn't. But
I wouldn't watch that show.
No one's
that would
gonna
be
watch
so
that.
boring. I wouldn't go to your comedy show either, apparently.
Like, I remember watching Pepe Le Pew as a kid. It was one of my favorite
It was
Looney
funny.
Tunes characters. Like, yeah, it was fucking hilarious in my mind. Looking back on it now, I absolutely realize how
like, that's
inappropriate
creepy.
it was. Yes, and I wonder, like, how much it has affected my desire to be dominated by men.
because of that cartoon, right? Well, so
That's how
then,
they're supposed to have a thick accent and come on to you really hard, right? That's how men are supposed to behave.
And a funny smell.
Oh, yeah, and they got to smell kind of funny.
and then there's, you know, the huge uproar about getting rid of the Mr. before Mr. Potato Head. It's just a potato head.
But
Right,
there's
'cause
also
why
a
does
Mrs.
potato have to be gendered?
True, but like that's
they
how he
included-
already was. So why
yeah.
didn't they just come out with like another like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. had a non-gendered potato,
An Xer.
right? And
Yeah.
how cool, and just the awareness around that would be a missed opportunity. Instead of just saying, nope, we're not going to do this anymore because people were offended.
Yeah, that's... I feel like that's the safe bet, right? Like that's what corporate entities
'cause
seem to do as a safe
corporations
bet.
are terrified to do
Yeah.
anything because of cancel culture, because they're going to get business taken away or...
Well, and if you look at it from a political divide, and I know that, you know, like people's support of the LGBT community doesn't necessarily fall on a political line, but it seems to. But if you think about it politically, you know, the producers of Mr. Potato Head are probably like, well, if I come out with a non-binary potato, half of the country's going to hate me. But if I have a potato that only has two genders, the other half of the country is going to hate me. So I'm just not going to make any potatoes. So fuck you. You've ruined your potato fun. Right? Isn't that kind of... That's your only answer as a huge corporation with billions of dollars on the line and stockholders to answer to is, you know, I'll just say the purple people will hate me if I have a non-binary potato, and the green people, because I don't want to label a particular political group, disrespect. I don't want to get canceled.
That awareness right there.
But I mean, it can go. I've seen it get weird with stuff like that, and like really good comedians have suddenly just disappeared because they're like, well, I can't say anything about anybody.
Well, and I think, you know, yes, call people out. Tell them this is why it was wrong. Brady, you did a joke that I didn't like up on stage with one of your comedy bits. And then you can say, yeah, I know. I know it's wrong because of X, Y, and Z. That's why it's kind of funny. And that's, but you're aware of that. And you can even say that as part of your bit too. But like, I don't know, instead of just, I think it's just a missed opportunity. People abusing some of their power to just be like, nope, you're gone. You're done.
Sure. Yeah. I agree that like just kind of dismissing people across the board the first time they're offensive isn't helpful. If it's a comedian, for example, that is willing to apologize, is willing to be educated on a subject.
Did you guys see the flack that the lady that wrote Harry Potter, I can't remember her name right off the top. J.K. Rowling. I was going to say Tolkien. Wrong person.
I'm offended.
But yeah.
Canceled.
Did you see the flack that she took? I mean, like, at first, she was like, yeah, no, Dumbledore's super gay. He's, like, really gay. And the LGBT community was like, oh, we love you. And then, the other community was like, fuck you. And then...
She came out as really anti-trans.
Yeah, well, I don't know if she came out as anti-trans. I never read it, but I kind of caught like a little bit of the tip of the wave on Twitter, and she said something that wasn't very pro-trans for sure. And like she caught like,
oh, huge
I thought
flack.
they were going to cancel her of all people, and she's changed the world.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're even all we know about Michael Jackson. And like, where everyone's like, we're not going to play his music anymore because of all these cases that are coming out and stuff. And I'm just like, that's hard. What do? You don't want to continue supporting someone who allegedly, 'cause I don't know if he ever was proven, honestly. I don't follow that, and I'm sorry that I don't.
He was acquitted in court, but I think after his death, there was some pretty hard evidence came out to prove that like he in fact did. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's are you supporting that message, that negative message, if you're still reading the book or listening to music or watching the movie, that kind of thing? That's where I feel like then it's kind of hard. But for us to just be like on social media and be like unfollow or, you have that autonomy for sure. Like, I don't want to tell everyone like you have to follow somebody that you're already following. But I do think it's very healthy to follow people with opposing views and different views than your own.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you obviously get to decide like when that does start hurting you or, why it might be wrong of what they're posting. That's totally fine. I think it's great to call people out socially, and saying, hey, that wasn't an okay joke or that post was not appropriate and this is why.
You call me on my shit all the time.
It's for awareness, right?
Yeah.
Like, but for us to just say now, like, you're gone off Twitter, you don't get to be on Twitter anymore because of what you said. I think that's the missed opportunity of look at that original post and see all the people that backed it saying that's not okay, or not backed it, but like came at it.
Yeah.
And it's like, now I see why, and look at the majority instead of this one person. I don't know. I think like everybody posts things and then like we'll delete them, and then there's always someone who takes a screenshot and then it's like, well, that's Pamela, 30 years ago you posted this on MySpace. I'm just kidding. I have no clue. Like 30 years, a little excessive, but
it's, what though, it's really not that excessive if you look at it, because I've seen Eddie Murphy get in trouble. Like, it was never like a huge amount of trouble because he's Eddie Murphy, but there's always this sort of like kind of weird underwelling of angry people about things that really famous comedians said back when it was okay to use certain words, and now it's not okay. And
how do you handle someone calling you out? I would have been like, thank you so much for pulling that up, and the growth that how much I've changed from then to now. Yeah. That's why I keep it up, to the reminder of I am a human being that gets to change my opinion, that gets to learn and grow from my mistakes, that people get to say, and that's the beauty of it. I think we're just skipping over it so much, and then so many people are fearful of getting canceled that they're not standing up for things that can help.
Yeah.
And like marginalize people or anything like that, because they're like, I'm either a person who, community looks up to, or like Pamela has a huge following on Facebook.
She's like kind of famous.
She gets stopped all the time. Are you that lady? I guess that.
I heard she gets comped in restaurants and all kinds of stuff.
But I mean, just her Facebook group alone is 2,500 I don't know.
Or
I don't.
just over 2,000.
Okay, I was like, I don't follow it, but last time I looked at it, right?
Every time me and Jamie meet someone on a dating site and we add them on Facebook,
that's the person in common.
It'll pop up and say like, you have one mutual friend, and Jamie goes, I'll bet it's Pamela.
Right?
It wasn't last time.
So is there
was
anything
weird.
that you're afraid of saying on there that might lose you business? Because you advertise mostly through social media, because of your beliefs. So you're like,
Well,
am I going to get canceled?
the scary thing about it is Pamela's pretty progressive now.
She is.
And pretty
most
cancel
people knew
proof.
that.
But 10 years from now, you might not be.
Right. Well, and 10 years ago, I was a devout Mormon.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, well, I'm not sure. Because
Well,
I was a pretty liberal, devout Mormon. Even so, like, I would never.
Sure.
But I'm
you
just
imagine
trying to remember if I like posted anything on social media that would be found offensive. It's possible. And if somebody called me out on it, yeah, I think I'd be like, hey, I'm not that person
like,
anymore.
I'm sure I've probably posted a tweet that made fun of someone who was a brownie, right? Into My Little Ponies in like a perverted way.
Yeah.
When I was younger and thought I was funny. I'd have to scroll back through my Twitter.
A brony.
Brownie. Yeah.
You said brownie, which is another super offensive term. So I was like,
No. I'm pretty
ooh,
sure I said
okay.
brownie.
Yeah, he said
Brownie. Okay,
Pretty
sorry.
sure.
I can't hear that well.
Should I turn you up?
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
Thank you.
So, and I don't know that I did say anything on Twitter about bronies, but I'm using it as an example. But right now, it's okay to make fun of bronies.
Yeah.
5 years from now, that might be the mainstream thing. And they come at me, right? And then just because I posted that tweet, you guys could get heat because you put me on your show as a producer.
Exactly.
That's the scary thing of it. But I feel like there's another side to it where we also have to respect free speech to a point.
Yeah.
Like we can't allow hate speech or speech that drives violence, right?
There has been platforms that won't allow us to post our podcast.
Because we talk about vaginas.
We do.
And everyone's afraid of those.
They're the most powerful thing in the universe.
They're hard to understand, too. It's like reading Braille.
That's really snorted in that mic. Good God.
That one's going on the blooper reel.
Yeah.
I'm all
No,
lips
it's just-
and no eyes.
It's funny that we, Patreon, you have to go type in Salty Sexcast
Right.
or www.patreon.com/Salty Sexcast to find us. You can't search us out because we're adult content.
Yeah.
We're offensive.
We're offensive. Yeah. And really, we're just sort of trying to help people understand their fun bits, right?
Yeah. It's true. I don't understand. I don't understand that. However, getting back to your free speech point, like hate speech is not protected under the First Amendment.
It's not. It's totally not. And that's something that people need to remember is that there's a difference between hate speech and then like a loud speech that we maybe all don't agree with.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just something that like lands wrong. It's like, ooh, not sure about that. Is there any way you would like to reword that? Giving someone the opportunity to just, do you see how this can be
offensive?
Do you care?
Yeah.
And if they don't care, then then do something. But instead of just saying like, Pamela, today you said something and I didn't like it. So you're gone. And I'm going to tell everybody in that Facebook group how offensive you are. And we're going to gain up all on you and drag your business down. All sorts of stuff. I think you handled something really, really well in your Facebook group where someone brought up, because it is for women, that Facebook group, because you wanted it to be a safe space for them to...
It's for anyone who identifies as a woman.
Yes, right?
And it's all, like, the group description has always been written that way. I thought it was in my mind.
Yeah, so someone was like, hey, have you thought of maybe wording it this way so it sounds even more inclusive? And you were like, yeah, that's so great. Let me look into this. I think I even saw it updated as I was like scrolling through Facebook. That's the way to handle that stuff, right? Not reading the description being like, how exclusive are you, and just like not joining and then trying to get everyone to leave because of one word or something or the lack of, something else. Anyway, I thought it was just handled really well. And I feel like that's how we should handle some of these things, you also don't have to aggressively call people out on it and just being like,
Right.
is there another way we could have worded that?
It wasn't just, I do feel I handled it well. Thank you. But it wasn't just me who handled it well. Like everybody in the group did it really well. The person who initially called it out was like, hey, admins, would you be willing to change this? And I thought that was fabulous. And then we didn't get one transphobic comment. After
Oh, that's
that
awesome.
either.
A lot of
Everyone was really
curiosity.
supportive. Yeah,
there
what
can-
is-
'cause there can
what
be-
does that mean to the trans community? And what does it mean to individuals? Because does it mean the same thing to everyone in the trans community? And it was a really great opportunity for discussion and education, which is what I think you're saying these things should be. Not
it's
everybody
awesome.
wants to be educated, though.
It's awesome that there wasn't any backlash the other way, because I have seen people, you know, and Twitter wars or whatever say something like, "No, I'm
easy
just
behind a screen."
Yeah, it's and you hear someone try to do the right thing, and then there's like, again, it's like half the world is saying "fuck you," and the other half is like, "Way to go." Yeah. And it can be hard too to, like, if you scroll through comments, I can only imagine being the poster of that, you know, tweet or whatever, and then having half the world hates me.
Yeah, but you honestly have to look at it like that half of the world, they are not my clients, or they are not my friends, they are not my customers, you know, whatever. Like, if people are going to be hateful towards me or my business or, you know, my Facebook group or whatever, they don't belong there.
Yeah.
You cannot please everybody, and nor should you feel like you have to.
Nor should you even try to.
But it is good to be aware. We're asking for more awareness and education. That's really the whole reason I'm saying pump the brakes a bit on this cancel culture. Quick to cut, you know, like, let's just, why is it offensive? What is wrong with that statement? Is there anything that can be corrected before and apologized and growth opportunity for that person? And then the rest of the community who's absorbing the knowledge community or product or whatever, you know, it's like, so you pulled up J.K. Rowling again. What did you find?
She retweeted an op-ed where they were talking about creating a world that was more equal post-COVID-19 for people who menstruate. And her comment was like, people who menstruate, like, why can't we just call them women? Is basically what she said. And I'm paraphrasing. She actually said, quote, people who menstruate, end quote. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wimpond? Like, so she was just sort of like, why not just say woman? But in today's world, it's not just women who menstruate.
I don't think that's the only answer.
But I imagine there's probably some more, right?
Yeah, I think she was kind of overtly anti-trans at one point.
Yeah, so she said that and got a whole lot of heat about it, and she wouldn't relent.
She says, I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make a judgment here, not having researched it.
I'd have to read into it further. But, like, she was, I think, in my opinion, was like a pioneer in coming out, or not, I guess she didn't come out, but Dumbledore came out. And I think she even, like, tweeted it in a way that was like, oh no, he's, like, violently homosexual. Like, he's...
If you can violently be.
Yeah, if you could violently be homosexual, that's what Dumbledore did.
How does one become violently homosexual?
I think you just sort of, like, you don't really come out. It's more like you kick a hole through the wall and you just kind of poke your head and you're like, Mom, Dad, I'm gay.
You burst into the room.
Yeah.
Instead of discreetly,
with a rainbow glitter.
Kind of, yeah, on your tiptoes, sort of like bouncing across the room. I'm fucking gay. And then you just sort of like run out the other door. You really don't give time to people to process. That's violently homosexual. You just sort of
That's why I was like, let's go into that. What does this look like, Brady?
I feel like that's the way she put it, was like, and everybody was like, oh yay, you know, like they were super happy that she was like, yeah, he's gay, he's super gay. And
my rocking mic.
Yeah, you look hilarious, by the way. It's like what do they call those chairs that
rocking chairs?
No, the ones that they have like as you rock the chair.
Anything about them.
As you rock the chair, it fucks you.
I don't know, but I want one.
Please do tell us what they're called.
Okay, I'll look them up. But it's
A fucking rock.
I mean, it's kind of like, you know, you've got a phallus-shaped object in front of your face and you're rocking back and forth. Did you just lick the mic? Oh my God.
I don't know why.
Do you even know where that's been?
Well, now it's been in my mouth.
The good news is they get cleaned.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brady, for taking care of my oral.
They get cleaned.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know why.
man.
You said it was, I was just like, yeah.
But I thought it was crazy to watch that wave as like half the world was sort of like, I can't believe she made Dumbledore gay. And then you know, the other half was like, oh,
She didn't make
love
him
you.
gay. He was born
He was born that way.
So hold
It
on.
wasn't a choice.
How many people just heard whisperings of J.K. Rowling
Hates
is transphobic?
Transphobic.
And
yep.
then they just jumped on that train without
Yeah.
doing their own research. It could have
Maybe
been
didn't even
something
read
that
the
was
tweet.
grossly, you know, where the our message around it was misconstrued and or only like one piece of a quote. I hate that was like
Yeah.
actually produced, and
So it's
like
taken out of context. Yeah.
is fucking everything.
Yeah.
And in a way, in a time that we can just take a snippet of what they say or a screenshot of a half of tweet or, you know, whatever it is, I'm sure somebody could totally take our episodes and put something horrendous together of everything that we've said, you know? Like, I don't know. And how much we've grown on here. The awareness that we have. How many things have we said?
I've definitely
that
learned a lot. I've changed a lot of my language.
language and just awareness and
Because you guys have been kind enough to call me on shit when I've not known any better.
I do have to say that, like, my understanding of what J.K. Rowling, her message, what she was trying to express about trans, that I got secondhand from other people is very different than the quotes that I'm reading right now. Not that I'm saying she's right, because I, again, haven't really researched it. But what I'm looking at, I'm like, oh, that doesn't match up to what was in my mind.
It doesn't.
So-
It definitely, as I read it too, and I think you and I are kind of reading it about the same pace. I think she got a lot more heat than these tweets warranted.
well, and then
But there's that group of people that were churning that mill that maybe never read the tweets.
and how quickly we are to be like, man, I have put her on a pedestal. I thought so much about her. So hearing that one negative thing,
Yeah, I think I'm
Fucking
gonna have
hate her.
to knock her down. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Nope.
I'm super anti-cancel culture.
Let's give her a
So, like,
piece of
I was
our
like-
mind.
I remember when I heard that, I was like, even if she did say those things, net positive, she's changed the world for the better.
Yeah. Or anytime I hear that stuff, I'm like, is she?
Is she?
Like, I want to hear what really happened and not what one article published. Like, I want to hear.
I wish more voters were like you.
Right? I mean, I even have to read like scientific articles like that. And I was like, yeah, that's a small pool that you're getting your, and I like ripped them apart. And I was like, this is like our standard of scientific knowledge. And I'm still like, yeah, grain of salt.
It's hard to hang out with Mariah because she always wants citations and like the study pool
wants
has to be in the hundreds of thousands. You can't just have like 15 patients.
Well, because
No.
look, if you took us in this room right here, we're all queer, ex-Mormon, like saying some weird things that like most people, or not weird things, our viewpoints are going to be very, very different from, I would say, the majority. Right? So it's not even a good poll. Anyway.
Well, the local majority for sure.
Local.
Yeah.
For sure. You know what makes my heart happy? I'm just going to go on a
Do it.
Brady tangent. Is half of the U.S., less than half of the U.S. population is not religious, does not claim to be religious. That
Yes.
makes my heart so happy.
They just published that. That was
Yeah.
all.
less than half.
Less than half of Americans identify as a religious denomination now.
Oh, identify as religious.
Yeah.
So more than half are non-religious.
So more than
Yes.
half are non-religious.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
We are now in the majority.
Yeah.
It's
Take that,
about
Easter
damn
Sunday.
time.
It'd be a lot of fun to organize an atheist lobby pool, but it would also be really hard because atheists are like herding cats.
don't know that that's true.
We're very independent and super hard to nail down.
Is
Where's
that
the
right?
scientific article that proves that? And I need 10 sources.
I can hit
Not
you up.
just one. I want
I've
like
got
30.
one.
I'm
I've
just
got
kidding.
one. Richard Dawkins. That's all I've got.
I'm teasing, Brady.
No, I mean, like, I think if there was something super threatening to us, we would organize as atheists. I think we very easily could. I think the Satanists do it better.
The Satanists do it better. I've heard of
They're
how
hilarious.
they can fight against abortion and things like that. I was like, oh.
Wait, what do you mean fight against abortion?
Sorry.
Be careful what you
For
say.
themselves, the laws against abortion, they can fight against that. Wow. It cancels it out, right?
Yeah.
Double negative.
Okay, thank you. I'm like, am I even explaining this properly?
So one of the things that the Satanists did was there was like a prayer said at this council meeting every time they started the council meeting. And they sort of had like a rotating pool of denominations that came through and did the prayer. And then when the Satanists signed up, they just canceled the prayer. They were like, yeah, never mind. Yeah, we're just not doing that ever again. And then I think in Georgia, they wanted to put the 10 Commandments in the state capitol. And the Satanists were like, oh, yeah, no, that's a great idea. But right next to it, we want you to put a statue of Satan. And he's like the statue of Satan's like holding up the goat and like all the other things. And he's got like a child he's like holding down with his foot or something. And he's like, if you guys are going to put that up, you have to put ours up. And then they were like, yeah, we'll just cancel the whole thing. So I love them. I love them so much.
I mean, I have so much respect for the work that they do, like honestly. However, I still can't bring myself to be part of a religious organization, even if it's something that's fighting, church and state.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't do it.
Yeah, and that's why it's difficult, because there's not a lobby group like that for the atheists. There's some
Right.
scientific groups that help with like keeping education straight. But there's not like a political lobby out there arguing. And we're not arguing to put anything in place. We're just like, no, just don't put that there. The Constitution says not to put it there, and you're trying to put it there. But the Satanists win because they're like, yeah, please do, but also include ours.
we have the right. Yeah.
I
Love them.
Yeah, so like just
We
they
should find a
call out
Satanist for our
awareness.
69
I would
show.
love that. Just even any show who want to come on and talk about, some of their things. I want to expand my awareness. Just because I have things on the show or that we say things doesn't mean we all believe them or we all are in agreement. Even the three of us can sometimes disagree on what we're talking about, right? So it's really just, I want to have these conversations because I want to expand my awareness, and that's all. I'm not coming to a conclusion because it can fucking change tomorrow. Like it doesn't mean that I don't stand for anything either. That's the hard thing. It's like people are like, well, if you're always changing, then you believe in nothing.
Yeah. And what's the problem with that?
Well, I do believe in things. I do have, there are things that I stand for and that I'm,
But do you have the right to believe in nothing? I think that's what Brady's asking.
He's thinking. I see those gears.
Well, I know it made me think of Gillette's argument. Penn Gillette. And it's always, he always says that people just assume that because I'm an atheist that I rape and murder. And he goes, well, yeah, as an atheist, I rape and murder as many people as I want to. And I want to rape and murder 0 people. Because I'm a decent human being without your fucking book. I'm just trying to think, like, if we wound the clock back 10 years and Penn said that, I think he'd get canceled. You know what I mean?
Years, really.
I think, well,
I think about it, 10 years ago, being an atheist would have been scary for me.
Context, if someone had just quoted the one thing, and if you're only reading headlines and you're not really diving in, if you have a responsibility. If you are going to make a choice on J.K. Rowling or whoever has done something, this is just the example we're now kind of stuck with. I am asking you to do your own digging and don't follow what either the majority are doing or what, the one article is saying. Go do a little bit of extra research. Like, it doesn't take long to do another Google search, read a few articles. Don't just read what's on the first page of Google either. Don't be afraid to couple arrows over.
Wait, you can go past the first page?
You should always go past the first page.
I'm just kidding. Well, it's interesting because Pamela and I both kind of had already made up, not really made up in our minds, but we already kind of had a thought of what we were thinking had gone on with J.K. Rowling. And within a couple of paragraphs of reading it, and I could be wrong, I've only read a couple paragraphs here and now, but really she was saying that like, hey, I support transgendered people, but don't take away from my sex either. As being a woman.
Yeah, she said, I'd like to protect my identity as a woman.
Essentially,
like, I would like to maintain that identity.
Yeah, don't take away from it.
Fought.
Yeah. And she wasn't saying that I want to take away from you being transgendered. I just don't want anyone else taking away from me being me.
She also wants to protect herself and uplift other people.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can.
Yeah, why can't we use the word woman for people who identify that way? I think is what she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why can't, and that makes sense, right? Why can't I call
why can't
Mariah
the word
a
woman be inclusive? Actually, going back to the Salty Witches, what one member asked me to do was remove the word female from the description and only use the word women or woman, because
with an X replacing the E.
Well, they didn't even ask for that.
That
much,
was another conversation.
It was another conversation, but
I wonder if I can buy a non-binary potato.
Brady. But
that's what I
anyway, apparently there are a lot of trans people who don't identify with the word female because they see it as, I don't know, as like sex and not gender. But there were quite a few people in the group who were like, and including myself, who were like, "Oh, I didn't."
Yeah, people are like, "I hate the word female. It's offensive,"
Yeah.
and I was like,
I didn't know it wasn't
never
inclusive.
once associated that word as exclusive. I never. But again, because my awareness hadn't ever stretched it to that to say,
and everybody has a different experience, right? And
that baby potato has two dads. It makes me happy.
Do we have to
gender neutral rebranding?
Potato Head now.
I'm sorry.
See, it's just Potato Head. It's going gender neutral is what they're saying. So then people were like,
so are they going to put a variety of different parts in it that look masculine, feminine, and somewhere in the middle, or are they going to only put gender neutral parts in it?
Because I think, when you originally had to purchase it, you had to have either a Mrs. Potato Head or a Mr. Potato Head, and now they're just putting all of it into one container. But, so I can see why they're trying to get rid of the Mr. or Mrs. because they want it all in one box, in one kit. Mr. Potato Head. I was just reading the box. Anyway, it's
funny because up there it says Potato Head, but then down there it says Mr.
But what happened was someone took one article that produced and said, hey, we're going to go gender neutral. All things masculine, feminine are in one box. And then people were like, why do we have to take away this? Everyone's so
that sounds like a deal
about
to me,
everything,
because you're getting
right?
more parts for your toy.
I'm not so sure that's what is happening, because all I'm seeing is that Hasbro is releasing a gender neutral version of Mr. Potato Head. So maybe they're giving you 3 options: masculine, feminine, gender neutral. That seems like the best solution to me. It represents more of the population.
So, but what happened on social media is everyone was in an uproar that they were changing it at all instead of just being like, this is why. So you get more. So it isn't LGBT advocacy. Anyway, so it's just, it's one of those things. Take everything you see on social media with a grain of salt. Yeah. Go ahead and politely call people out. And sometimes you don't even have to be polite. But, oh
my God.
I think the accountability still needs to be there. But we don't have to just completely just be like, done. What was what were you reading?
I just want to read this. Says the move comes, so they're in reference to them coming out with a gender neutral option for Potato Head. It says the move comes as toy makers have tried to become more inclusive to appeal to modern consumers. Barbie, which is made by Mattel, has recently released more inclusive Barbie dolls, including one with skin condition vitiligo. Is that or
vitiligo?
Vitiligo. One in a wheelchair and one with a prosthetic limb.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And
That's
sizes.
super cool.
Like they have different sizes now. I love it. I'm
they
like,
do have a more full-figured Barbie now. Yep, I've seen
So
that.
I don't see how any of that has anything to do with cancel culture because they're not canceling Mr. Potato Head or Barbie. They're just creating more
people were
options.
calling out. They wanted to cancel.
I think people
Mr.
they wanted
Potato
to
Head.
cancel Mr. Potato Head and like
because there's a gender neutral option. So
because they were like
no.
yes.
I think they were getting called out for not having a gender neutral option. And now that
none of us really know.
based off what I'm reading here,
Anyway,
I don't know.
but yeah, like I'm just still waiting
Someone
for
else
the
read
dump
it. Email it
truck
to us.
butt Barbie to come out so I can have one that looks like me.
Dump truck Barbie.
I used to have a fun game that I played with one of my ex-girlfriend's moms, and we tried to come up with like the worst Barbie. And I think my favorite was Trailer Trash Barbie.
So I'm wearing like a maxi dress, like it's this long, like stretchy fabric. Anyway,
Pumpkin Barbie.
Thank you. And my husband's like, "You hungry?" Every single time he walks behind me, and I was like, "Shut up," because my butt eats my dresses. Every time, so I'm constantly like just doing a little pick a wedgie every time I walk.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It's a huge
And then like you and Ray like really educated me on the butt eating the dress problem.
I love sundresses. I really, really do. But because I do have like larger thighs and a butt, you have to just have the very perfect length and the width. Like it can't be a super flowy one because it's always up. And if it's the length is fine in the front, it's going to always be 2 to 3 inches shorter in the back.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I've talked to several friends who have told me about that. I like
Big butt Barbie.
Yeah,
Thank
it just
you.
brings up porn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was going to click on the link and I realized it was from X videos.
Big ass Ashley Barbie rides big dick. Oh yes, xvideos.com. Barbie's got booty now, but will it make a difference? Oh, all right. Anyway,
Barbie's been doing her squats.
See, where's the potato version of Barbie where you get a pin on different accessories of like butt size, boob size, hair?
I think they call those LOL dolls.
Oh God, those are so annoying.
I mean, this is better than what Barbie's traditionally been.
Look at her. She's got big old calves. Yes.
Yes, queen.
Yes. That's where I'm like, there you go.
Yeah, and hips.
Yeah.
Like hips and waist are bigger.
Yeah, like she's just more hourglass instead of
No,
long and
Barbie
lean.
is the most hourglass. I mean, that's always been the problem. It's that they're more like realistically relative to each other than we've ever seen in another Barbie.
Ooh,
so.
pixie cut Barbie.
Loving it.
I have a daughter, so I can look at dolls and not be weird.
You can look at dolls and you can have them, Brady, and we will never think you're weird. What you do with those dolls, I will judge you for, though.
What
So
would I do?
cancel culture. Just be more aware. Yes, call people out on behavior that's not acceptable. Maybe they just didn't know either. So give somebody the opportunity to learn and grow from their mistake.
Yeah.
They're just being a fucking dick to be out of dick. Yeah. Counsel them.
But do your research and make sure first.
Yeah.
Right?
And respect
Yeah.
people even if they have a different opinion, as long as it's not hate speech
Yeah.
or organizing violence.
I mean,
Right?
Yeah.
completely agree.
And if you really don't like it, just don't unfollow it. Or, I mean, you can unfollow it. That's a great thing about Twitter. Mm-hmm. And Facebook. If you don't like it, you don't need to make it stink. Just move on with your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Get off social media altogether.
Have you ever heard Ricky Gervais talk about Twitter? Mm-mm. And he's like, I just posted a tweet, about basically making fun of religion. And he was like, oh, the birthday, the earth is so many thousand years old today. Like anybody fucking knows which day we count as the earth's birthday, right? and somebody chewed him out for like being an I know what you're doing, you atheist cunt. And he's like, you know what that's like? It's like walking into a public square, seeing that there's a sign for guitar lessons. You pull the tab off and you look at it and you go, I don't fucking want guitar lessons.
But you're still
standing there reading the guitar lesson notice. Unfollow me.
That's awesome.
You don't have to be a cunt about it.
Yeah. So if you want to do the opposite of cancel us, you are more than welcome to share our content with your friends.
It's a good segue.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I've been working on that. I had to slide it in nice and smooth. I lubed you up for that one. And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter. I don't know where that is at because Brady is our great Twitter person. Tweeter? Twit?
He's
our twit.
I'm your twit.
Because I
Didn't you guys come up with a nickname for me?
Yeah, but I don't remember what it
Button
was.
Boy.
Button Boy, Plugs, something like
it
that.
wasn't
Yeah,
that.
we've changed it so many times I can't remember.
If anybody recently listened to that episode, could you please email us and tell us what our nickname for Brady is?
Remind us.
Let us know.
We forget.
At gmail.com, right? saltysexcast@gmail.com.
Or if you're a really dedicated listener, re-listen to all the episodes and write down all of the nickname suggestions we've ever had so that we can pick the best one.
We're going to make a t-shirt with all of them for you, Brady.
But then we'll circle our favorite.
And yeah, they're all going to be crossed
Nice.
out and then circled.
I'm gonna look like a sticky note. I love it.
Yeah.
If you want to get in on some special action,
Limited edition.
limited edition, just more content, exclusive content, you can always become a patron at patreon.com/saltysexcast. Am I forgetting anything? I think we got the social medias. We got our email.
We got all the social media. Yeah.
And we very much appreciate all of those who have taken the time to listen to us, to share it with your friends. Love, love, love those who have written us a review on Apple. Thank you. You were saving me. You knew I was losing. And I was like, what are all the things?
Anomic aphasia.
What are all the words? I can't pull them all at once. Anyway, and most definitely our patrons who have truly supported our podcast so we can stay commercial free. So you get a full hour of great content and not a bunch of stuff that maybe you don't want to listen to. You might still hear pieces of that because tangents.
She looked really hard at Brady when she said that.
I know. Like, I felt guilty. I was
We
like,
might
I
still get
haven't
a couple-
tried to pitch anything in a long time. No one's approached me about any kind of special underwear or nothing.
If you guys want to pay Brady to shut up, get on our Patreon. I'm just kidding. I love you.
All right. Well, please listen next week for our very cool episode on oral sex, episode 69.
It's just going to be a fun one.
We're just going to do something crazy, I think.
Episode pertaining to sex.
I'm going to buy a potato
And if
head.
anyone knows what show that's from,
What is that? Say it
I will
again.
send you a special nudie picture.
Say it again.
The number pertaining to sex. 69. Anyway, stay sexy, everyone.
Oh.
And salty. Bye.
Yeah. And what's puberty?
Puberty? Well, puberty's a lot of things. Here's the piece.
When you hear about it first, it sounds very strange.
Oh, if it really bothers you, you should see a doctor. Then at puberty, certain glands begin to work, and our bodies begin to change. It enlarges the penis itself.
And there's a center opening between those two, which is called the vagina.
The sex education you wish you had in high school.
Maybe a diagram will help.